Hi, everyone. So happy that you're joining me and my guest here today. And in honor of February is Heart Month, so I'm wearing my red to remind everyone. Hi, Bailey. Hi, Dream Big with Siobhan. I'm happy to dream big. And Bailey's got her request in already. I'm going to go live with Bailey. Starting very shortly with Disruptive Conversations. And let's see, I'm not getting the buffer yet. Hi, Northern Fit here. And here she comes. Wow, that was probably the smoothest ever. So, Bailey, hi. I'm going to introduce the show myself briefly, and then I'm going to introduce you, and we're going to get going. One of the things I mentioned is I'm wearing red today in honor of Heart Health Month, and we all need to be careful, gentle, and caring about our hearts and our heart health. All right. So welcome everyone to Disruptive Conversations with entrepreneurs, influencers, thought leaders, authors, educators, attorneys, in which we deep dive into the experiences these women have navigated and conquered in order to have achieved the personal and professional success they have up to this point in time, with more to come. And I'm Dr. Risa Reiger, clinical psychologist, and I'm an expert in change. I know that positive change can happen at any point, and I help individuals, teams, companies make positive change. And the good news is that we're built for change. But in order to create positive change, in order to be an agent of positive change, you need to disrupt. You need to disrupt a thought, a feeling, a belief, a behavior, a habit in order to create your 10.0 life. And that's what this series of conversations is all about. And today, to help us in that path of creation and self-agency is Bailey Zugan. And if I mispronounced, you'll correct me. And I'm going to read her bio. Uh, and I think you have company from John and Photo Dicted. Hi, Sam. And so Bailey's bio is that she was born and raised in a small town east of Cleveland, Ohio. And after graduating from college with a fashion merchandising degree, she moved to New York and realized that fashion was not for her. So Bailey moved back to Cleveland and started law school at Case Western and found her passion in litigating and criminal law, working at a defense firm. And she's loved being close to her family these past few years through law school, and she's moving back to New York. Gotta say, I'm really thrilled that she's going to be closer. Your family can come and visit. And in August, she moved back to New York in August of 2024 to work in criminal law. And when she's not at work, if you're looking for Bailey, you can find her sipping on French wine, snuggled on the couch with her three cats, Apollo, Cyrus, and Netifer, which is an interesting name.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Bailey, welcome. And if I have not said anything in your bio that you would like to either clarify or let us know about, please do.
I think I would be amiss if I didn't give a little shout out to my boyfriend as well. He will also be snuggled on the couch with us. His name's Cole.
Okay. And just as an aside, because sometimes cats are a little bit leery of people. How are your cats doing with Cole?
Oh, they're great. Yeah, they sometimes love him more than they love me, which hurts, but it's okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard being in that space. So, Bailey, this is a question because you've had different turns, you've taken different directions, made decisions, and made different kinds of decisions and really changed your path. So what is it that you needed to disrupt inside of yourself in order to have created the success that you have at this point in your life?
Um, I don't know if I was the one who initially created the disruption, as much as it was something from my past that might have just kind of been brewing inside me. Um, but that being said, um, I was actually sitting on the floor at our mutual friend Sandy's apartment in New York, and I was just talking about how I was very unhappy with my job um, in the fashion industry. It didn't feel rewarding to me, and she was like, "Then why are you still here?" And we kind of talked it through, and I was like, you're so right. I think I'm going to leave this entire career that I had planned for myself and this life that I had planned for myself behind and go after something that I thought was more rewarding, and something that made me really happy. So I did, and it was quite the disruption, but I'm very happy that I did it, and I wouldn't take anything back.
Amazing. And that takes a lot because you uprooted, you came to New York, you found a space, you're like, I'm doing my New York fashion. And to pull back from it, it really takes that kind of a self-reflection and connecting to some courage inside you.
Definitely. It was very terrifying, but very rewarding.
Okay. And then shifting, how did you get to law school? From fashion to law school. Although, okay, look, there are some very fashionable lawyers out there. There's no question about that. But it's not necessarily if I'm not going to do fashion, then I'm going to law. How did you bridge that?
So I guess it initially started in high school. Um, when I was a sophomore in high school, there was a school shooting um, with another one of my classmates, and some of my fellow classmates had died because of it. And kind of as we were watching the trial play out, and just watch what was going on in the media, I found myself very interested in watching what was going on in the courtroom. I was interested in both sides, which I think I have seen some of my fellow Chardon people on here. It's a hot take. A lot of people didn't really want to understand or look at both sides, but I couldn't help myself. That was something that I was just very interested in, and I was just hoping that someone was there to advocate for both sides. The person who committed the shooting included. So as I was graduating, I was like, I need to get out of this town. What's the fastest way that I can get out? And even though law was interesting to me, I was like, if I go to fashion, I'll graduate a year early. I can move to New York. I can start my career. Um, Law is just too much of a risk, and there's so much debt. And so that's kind of how I started with the fashion route. But I quickly realized in the fashion industry, it wasn't rewarding. I was given the privilege that some of my classmates don't have, um, of, of being able to continue on with my life and do something with my life that I really want to. So I didn't want to waste the time that I had. So that's why speaking with Sandy, decided that, yeah, I need to take the risk and go to law school.
So if this is okay with you, because a lot of people in this community and a lot of people, period, don't really have an opportunity to listen to someone who experienced a school shooting as a high school student and to hear about where they are now. So could you, if you could, just take us through some of your experience so that we can understand better, because we talk about, and there's so much trauma that happens, and certainly, you know, a human being doesn't go through an experience like that without it having impact. And here you are now at such a different stage, but that didn't come immediately afterwards. So if you could, and we'd be so respectful and honored if you could share some of that experience of how a high school student deals with that.
Yeah. So obviously during the experience, it was terrifying. Um, I think that a lot of what I was witnessing and hearing during that experience, um, I didn't think that it would have as much of an impact on me at the time. I was just a kid. I was 16, so it that is automatically just very difficult for a kid to understand what was going on, and kind of just then leaving the building that I'm supposed to be safe in, to hear helicopters everywhere and sirens and news people and ambulance, police, people just everywhere. That was like another load of trauma on top of everything that had just happened. Um, Luckily, my dad is who came to get me. So I had him there to support me right after, but kind of immediately after the event. And then the next few months, next year, obviously funerals happened and our community kind of came together, and it was like, okay, this is horrible. I was sad all the time, shocked. Nothing had really set in for me at that time other than just feeling a little just sad and scared all the time, unsafe. And then I went to school. I went to undergrad at Kent State, and we were forced to do ALICE training. And that, if people are not sure what ALICE training is, it's I don't know actually what the ALICE stands for, but it's the school shooting trainings that they do. They teach you to fight or run, basically, or stay where you are. And I remember speaking with one of my professors, and I was like, I can't do this. I've already been through it. This is horrible. And she was horrible to me. She forced me to do it. She didn't have any compassion. And after I went to that, I kind of, in the middle of it, had a panic attack, and it was horrible. And I was like, okay, maybe I am a little bit more affected than I thought I was. But I kept going about my life. I worked, I went to school. I wasn't in therapy at the time. I didn't think that I needed it. Um, but then I just kept living my life, and a balloon would pop, or I'd hear helicopters or sirens, or something would happen, and I would just be blown into this complete panic, thinking that someone was out there. I always have to sit with my facing the door with my back to a wall. I always know my exits, and have a plan. So talking to a lot of family and friends, my aunt, who is a psychologist, was like, I think I should probably go to therapy. And so I found a therapist, and I talked him through everything that happened, and he said, I have never seen someone so calm and composed while speaking about something so horrific. Um, I was like, yeah, maybe I am over exaggerating. And he said, nope, that's PTSD. You are shielding your body and protecting yourself. And I was like, okay, whatever. Let's keep doing this. And he ended up doing a little bit of EMDR
Mm-hmm.
with me, and helped with the everyday, not feeling quite as unsafe or scared, but every day I think I will always live with this, but hearing loud, sharp noises, sirens, that's always going to be difficult, but I apologize. I I've been able to manage better as I have come to terms with what happened and
Yeah.
moved on with what I could, the positive things in my life.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, as I'm sure we all do, so much for sharing and sharing that experience and how you reacted, and the idea that people can go through something and not kind of have it impact them at the moment, which doesn't mean that it doesn't have impact, and that we experience it in our bodies, and then your body takes over to protect you by either not experiencing, or when you're past the experience, there are still these moments that you get on high alert. And what's crucial here is that, just as an aside and a highlight, is that what has happened to us, something, and this is a to you, this happened to you, what's happened to you, you can't change, but you can change your narrative about it. You can change your understanding about it. You can change what you take with you from it. And some of the things you may not be able to change, like having a reaction to a pop or different kinds of sounds, because it's just so visceral. It's so right there. And but that's not where that stops either. And that you also have your head and perspective, your thinking and your perspective at that moment, to let your body know that you're okay and safe. And
Yeah,
so
definitely.
even when you have that loud noise that that activates your insides, that you also have your compassionate thinking, your compassionate component, to be able to say, yeah, this makes perfect sense that you're reacting like this, of course. And it's not that, you know, this is a car honking, this is a kid who, stepped on a balloon, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever else it may be. So you have your cognitive processing to really help integrate your thinking and your logic to what has happened. So I think that uh, another question would be, particularly, and I know that when we first spoke, I found this really fascinating, which is that, and important in terms of how you process and move, and sharing your journey, is that, one might think that, well, the natural spot for you to be would be in, as the prosecutor on the side of people who have been um, victimized, have been hurt, have been affected. And you've taken a very different route. So could you share some of that with us?
Yeah, yeah. Another obvious hot take. I I have a hard time explaining this to some of my close family and friends that were also there with me through that experience. But what what I took from going through that, and knowing who the shooter was throughout my childhood, um, I knew that there was a background there. I knew that he had a background. He didn't have the easiest life, and that doesn't make it okay. Um, Obviously, I do not agree with anything that happened. I think it was horrible. It traumatized me. Um, but I just couldn't help but think about that he also had a background, and he also is a person, and he was a person that hurt a lot. Um, so he hurt other people. And when I was 18, I actually got my first tattoo. and it says that everyone has a story to tell. Because throughout high school, I had that belief about the shooter and about so many of my other classmates. There's a reason that people act the way they do. There's a reason that people are the way they are. So I really resonated with the defense side of criminal law, um, because it's not my job to judge people. Um, as a lawyer overall, it's not your job to judge anyone. It's not your job to judge your client, to say whether they are guilty or innocent. It's your job to advocate to them or for them as much as you can. And I like that. I like that I get to speak to who they are outside of what they did, because people can do bad things, but they might not be a bad person. I have done some regretful things in my life, but that doesn't make me a bad person. Um, so I chose to move from prosecution from my second year of law school, no, first year of law school, to defense, and it really was an eye opener working with clients and getting to see that side of it, and I love it.
That's just, that's really so extraordinary of how, how we can go in different kinds of directions. And this morning, I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but this morning, I'm rushing back to my house and I'm like, let me just tell you that you really need to come on and be with this Instagram live, and that you may think someone's story, and we may think that we put our own stories on somebody's story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, we're talking here about how important it is to really, for you in the space that you're in, to be the author of your own story, of your own journey, of your life, and to have that agency and to make the decisions. Because by the way, I can't help it. I am who I am, and I'm trained how I'm trained. Um, and which is that, but you have a history of courageous acts, and that being courageous, in addition to the beauty and of the beauty of the adolescent brain, right? Of, well, law school's longer and fashion will be faster. That's like a year less. So that's what I'm going to do. And that's so perfectly, you know, exactly in the spot of where you were developmentally,
Yep.
right?
Oh yeah.
And that spot, and I think that the teenage brain, the adolescent brain, is also can be also a space of where tremendous courage happens, you know, and that for you it was that, not without its
Mm-hmm.
own difficulties, but it was also because we are so many ands. We're not ors, we're ands. And you were someone who was, experienced a school shooting, and you went to college, and you went to go on, to fashion, and you changed your mind, and you went to law school. But all of that comes with you in the wholeness of who you are, in the andness of who you are, and you learn from all of that.
Definitely. I would definitely agree with that.
And so I just want to just point out and really underline how your courage was there to be of help to you, even if you didn't know how it was really going to turn out, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we can't know that. But
For
you were
sure.
in the process of creating your own story and creating your agency.
Yeah. And I don't know if I would call it courage when I was making my decisions, but now looking back was like, okay, wow. Um, pardon my French, but damn, I'm pretty strong.
Right, right. And this is exactly it, which is what is it when we look back, because we can only have the perspective that we could have then. So as a teenager, you could only have the perspective that you had as a teenager, right? And you did
Mhm.
listen, you got through it, you went on, you did all sorts of things, and now you're at a different stage. And so now you have the opportunity to reflect back and to see what you've taken with you and learn about yourself in terms of this space of strength and courage.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I know you're going to take that with you into uh, your immediate, okay, so your immediate next challenge is that you're in a trial competition, one could say.
Yes, a mock trial competition. So, yeah, we're here in Detroit for regionals with a bunch of other teams from the, I don't know, Midwest area.
Fantastic. So, Bailey, what is your next disruption?
It's probably going to be, I have already signed up for the Ohio bar, but now that I'm moving to New York, um, losing all that cash and signing up for the New York bar and finding an apartment there, moving there, finding a job, all the fun things.
So that's your next space of courage.
Yes. Yeah, hopefully a year from now I can look back and be like, okay, we made it through. We're good.
Yeah. And also the importance, when you talk about that, because I know you're also, Cole is part of this picture and you're talking about we, but the importance of also when you're talking to yourself, that you address yourself. It's by the way, it's something that's very powerful when you think back on it and you use your damn, right? And you can think to yourself, damn, Bailey, that was a lot of courage. So the
Mm-hmm.
one takeaway that I want to give to you is that when we use our own names, when we talk to ourselves, it gives it even more power and impact. It may sound a little bit odd. You don't have to say it in front of a whole room of people. You can say it to yourself, but if you can say it out loud and address yourself with your name or like sweetie, honey, something kind, uh, that's enormously helpful. And is there a kind of one last thought or thing that you'd like to share with us? And I don't mean to put you under the, well, you know how to be under pressure. You're going into a mock trial. Um,
Yeah, I guess it's very basic. It's just if you're not happy doing something, if there's something else that you think is out there for you, no matter what it is, you want to move, you want a dog, you want a new job, um, just do it, and it's okay, and you'll make it through. And I think that we're all gifted with just one time here, one life here. So um, just go for it. That's all I can say, I guess.
well, that's a wonderful thing to say, and that can be a beautiful takeaway from today, in addition to so much else that you have really shared with us and enlightened and added story to a story that we may think we know. So I can't thank you enough for that. I want everyone here to know that here we have it again, that positive change can happen at any point. It's never too late. And that also, if you haven't followed me on Disruptive Conversations, please do. I leave important information, helpful information all the time. And if there's someone who needs to listen to this, please let them know that, and of course, anyone listening would like to go back and hear this again, that this Instagram Live will be posted and you'll have the opportunity to listen to it again. And so Bailey and I are going to take our cover shot now. You're all need, I need a little hair toss. You're just fine. So if you're ready for that. And one more. Bailey, I can't thank you enough for coming on. And there is no one who could have given this other than you, because this is yours. And thank you so much for being so generous and courageous to give that.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Okay. All right. See you next time.
Bye.